Okay, so I'm a little sick, so don't mind me if my voice sounds a little odd than usual. But today's story is going to answer some questions that many boys might have growing up and, you know, might be actually one of their biggest fears, because I know it was my biggest fear, and that's girls with braces. But before you guys do freak out about this story and, you know, want me to get into it, make sure you guys do leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you guys haven't already, because seriously, it means a lot when you guys do. And also, make sure you guys do follow me on Instagram. If you guys don't follow me on Instagram already, then consider yourselves ugly, unwanted, and, well, maybe weird. So make sure you guys do join the Discord server down below if you guys haven't already, and let's just get straight into this crazy, insane story. Yo, what is going on, you guys? My name is Bubba, and welcome back to another insane story. So I have a confession to make. I would never, ever back in high school go for a girl with braces. And I have a good reason why, and honestly, to this day, I still don't go with girls with braces. And one thing I made sure of was that my Fortnite girlfriend did not have braces. If you guys haven't met her yet, well, she's on the Bubba channel. If you guys haven't go check that out, go check it out already. But yeah, one thing I've never liked was girls with braces. And I have a good reason for this, and it all starts off back in high school in my grade 11 year. When I was in grade 11, I remember I never wanted to get close with girls with braces. I never liked braces. I never wanted it, nor did I find it attractive. But I remember in grade 11, I was talking to this girl that was really attractive, and she wasn't wearing braces at the time. She was really awesome. I remember me and her would always talk and stuff, and, you know, we were being kind of flirtatious in the talking mode. You guys would know what that means, you know. And me and her, we agreed to one day do the devil's tango. We never could find a time when, because she was always busy, until one day she came up to me in the middle of school and told me, hey, so like, I can't do anything this week because, well, I have to go get braces soon, but trust me, like, everything's gonna be okay after I get my braces. What is what I told her? You're getting braces? Nah, is what I told her. I told her no way I can do a girl with braces. She looked at me, she's like, why are you so scared of braces? Like, braces don't do anything. And I told her not what I've seen on the internet, because let's be real here, who wants a piece of metal close to their eggplant or close to their teeth in general? But I remember she kept telling me how everything's gonna be fine and how I should not be really judgmental about her having braces. But I just told her the goddamn truth, and I was worried that in the following weeks I would have to let her go because, well, she would have braces for the next 2 years, and yeah, that's a big no-no for me. I remember later on throughout the week, I kept talking to my homies and the guys, basically telling them how, like, this girl got braces and stuff, and how I don't want to, like, you know, hook up with her or do the devil's tango with her at all, because, you know, it's just ultimately disgusting. But all the guys kept telling me how braces don't do anything, there's no difference with braces, it's not a bad thing, and you won't feel it at all, is what they said. I thought they were right, and maybe, like, you know, maybe I'm just really being over dramatic about it. So I remember that day, in the following week, I remember I hit her up saying, hey, like, you free to come to my house, like, on Friday night? Just, like, come over. She was excited. She's like, oh, like, yeah, I'm down. And basically on Friday night, when that day came around, it was really scary for me, because I had no idea what's gonna happen. Like, think about it. A girl with a piece of metal is gonna come near my eggplant, bro. Like, anything could happen at that moment. So I remember I basically, like, kept, like, kind of, like, making sure I had band-aids on the side to make sure if I got cut, I could put it on, and, you know, all that good stuff. And on top of that, I kind of, like, wanted to wear a mouth guard, but I don't know, I felt like that would be really kind of weird if I did that. I don't know. I was just trying to take my safety precautions to a whole new level. Anyways, during Friday, I remember she ended up coming over, and basically me and her, we started watching a movie. She had her brand new braces on, and for some reason she chose the color green, and it always looked like she had something stuck in her teeth. But I don't know, apparently she got my favorite color as her braces, which was not a good idea, but I mean, it is what it is, whatever. And me and her just started watching Ted, because we both wanted to watch a funny movie. And I remember midway of us watching this movie, out of nowhere, she decides to come closer and closer to me, and she just started kind of, like, you know, wanting to do the devil's tango. But me, I kind of, like, stayed away, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna be honest, like, I'm just not into it, is what I told her, like, 6 different times. But she wasn't having it. She's like, oh, like, come on, like, we've been wanting to do this for weeks now. Like, it doesn't make sense how now you don't want to do it since I got braces. And I kept telling her, I have a big fear of braces. Like, what if I get cut? What if I get, like, you know, anything? She kept saying how, like, it's not gonna happen, you know, everything's gonna be fine. So me doing what I usually do, I just said screw it, and I counted down from 10 and just decided to go ham. Me and her started to do the devil's tango, and I remember when she came down to do the devil's head, she started doing it, and out of nowhere I felt a cut, or I got like a really sharp pain. And when that happened, I remember I said ow, and I stood up. I'm like, what in the world is going on? And I looked down at my eggplant and I started bleeding. The girl looks at me, she's like, oh my goodness, like, no, like, that's not what was meant to happen, like, I apologize, that's not what's supposed to happen at all. And I'm like, no. It felt like it was burning, and my eggplant was literally burning. It hurt bad, okay? It hurt terribly. So I remember me panicking and screaming. My mom came downstairs because we were in the basement gonna do the devil's tango, because we had like a TV in the basement. And basically she came down and she's like, oh my goodness, like what is happening? Like, oh my goodness, Bubba, like why are you bleeding? Why are your pants down? And like she was like basically questioning everything that just happened. And me, I'm kind of just standing there holding my eggplant with my hands kind of like having blood on them. And I'm like, Mom, get me a band-aid. I put a band-aid on my damn eggplant, bro. Like, I'm not even joking. It was the most embarrassing thing. And the girl started like kind of like freaking out because she didn't know this was gonna happen. And me, I started like basically like freaking out as well, because like basically like it sucked. It was a sucky feeling. Not like sucky like that, but like sucky, like it sucked how that happened. You know what? Never mind. Going on with the story. I remember my parents were like, oh, let's take him to the hospital. Like, we have to take him to the hospital. And like, I'm like, okay, like fine, like let's go to the hospital. So me, I get in my car with my bleeding eggplant with my band-aid on it, and we drive to the hospital. When we got to the hospital, I remember we ended up going to see the nurse. The nurse was some old lady that really hated me because of, I don't know, for some reason I like did her coworker. I have no idea. She hated me for some reason. And she's like, okay, so knowing your like crazy experience, I'm also gonna test you for STDs just to make sure nothing happened. Bruh, my eggplant is bleeding and you're telling me you want to test me for STDs right now? Is what I told her, because like, I don't know, she was just hating my guts for some reason. And my parents were furious the whole time. And I remember the girl's parents that, you know, ended up cutting me in the first place ended up coming down to the hospital as well to make sure I was okay and to pick up their daughter. And the whole situation became complete anarchy, because I remember when my parents went to go talk to her parents, she came into the room and she's like, I'm so sorry, like I didn't know this was gonna happen, like I swear it was not supposed to happen like this, like I have no idea. And I told her straight to her face, I'm like, listen, you know what, maybe in a couple years just take off your braces and come see me again, but this cannot ever happen again. Since then I never did a girl with braces. And I remember 2 years later I ended up running into the girl again, and she wasn't wearing her braces at the time, so me and her, we ended up doing the devil's tango, and apparently her devil's head game got better. But basically, long story short, yeah, just watch out for girls with braces. But at the same time, like this is a rare occasion, like I'm not gonna lie. I did end up in the future, you know, after that day doing another girl with braces, and it was completely fine. So fair warning for all the people scared of braces, it's not an everyday thing, but it happens. And I remember when me and this girl went back to her place, I started to realize in the middle of us making out, she ended up biting my arm and she rolled her eyes back as if she was a monster. This girl was crazy. Yo, what is going on, you guys? My name's Bubba, and welcome back to another really embarrassing, but I gotta say crazy story. So this story all takes place back when I was in high school, and this was my grade 12 year. Now, my grade 12 year, this was when I was graduating and I guess trying to figure out life to the fullest. If you guys are in grade 12, comment down below, but you guys know what I'm talking about. The pressure's on, and honestly, for me, I didn't know what my future held. Like, if someone could go back in time and tell me in my grade 12 year that I was gonna become a YouTuber and tell all these insane stories about my life, I wouldn't believe you, because obviously these are all super embarrassing. But one thing was for sure, I remember in my grade 12 year specifically, there was one time where me and my friends, we all ended up walking up to each other in the middle of the hallway, and I talked to my homie saying, yo, bro, honestly, man, I got a lot of stress this year. I want to be honest with you, bro. I want to go do something. Oh, okay. What do you want to do? Well, I don't know. Like, is there anything happening this weekend? Oh, I actually know a party that's happening. We all looked at my friend that said that there was a party happening, and we looked at him out of curiosity, because I'm gonna be honest with you guys, he wasn't really known as, well, a party type of person. But the fact that he brought it up especially made us all really surprised and excited. So at that moment, we're all like, oh, okay, bet. Like, let's go to the party you're talking about. And me and my friends, we all ended up getting this information, and let's just say we started to find out that it was a party that was in the south side. Now, if you guys don't know what the south side is, I mentioned it in a couple story times before, but basically it's like the more gangster side, or the hood as people may call it on the internet, of where I live. And I'm gonna be honest with you, I was never allowed there growing up, and now that I was 18, I'm gonna be honest, I was like, you know what, how bad could it be? Some of my friends were really unsure about this, and I'm not gonna lie to you, a lot of them did not want to actually go. It even got to the point where one of my friends said, Bubba, I'm not gonna lie, bro, like what if we get killed? Like, I don't want to die, bro. Like, we're literally about to graduate. Dude, we're gonna be fine. How bad could it be? Like, there's a lot of people on the south side. Yeah, gangsters. Dude, we're gonna be a-okay. Now, yes, I maybe was totally lying to my friends just to make them go to this party, but I'm gonna be honest with you, I really wanted to go and do something just to keep my mind off school. So I remember the next day, it was a Friday, and it was when the party was happening. I got inside my car that I was given back when I was 16, because, well, you know, it was my 16th birthday present, but that's not the point. Going on, I ended up picking up all my friends, and we started heading straight to the house that had the party. But on the way, as we were driving, I started to realize that the south side was really unsafe. Like, I'm gonna be honest with you, the more we looked around, we started to see that there was a lot of people like walking around that couldn't pull their pants up apparently, and it was actually kind of intimidating, to the point where I started looking at my friends, kind of starting to regret my decision of going to this party. But we were already so close, and we said why not. So once we finally got there, it was around like 7 p.m, which was actually pretty early for a party in the south side at the time. But you know what, we were in no way complaining, because it was still daylight outside. And when we finally got to the house, we started to realize that this house was no ordinary house. It was some Airbnb, and like, I'm gonna be honest with you, there was a lot of people there that did not look like they were able to pull their pants up. If you guys know what I'm talking about, then you kind of understand what I'm saying. There were a lot of people that wanted to be gangsters, or I guess in their full hood form, if that makes any sense. I remember my friend was like, okay, maybe me mentioning this party wasn't a good idea. You think? Is what my other friend said. And I ended up saying, you know what? Let's just park the car across the street, walk in and see what happens. So that's what we did. We ended up walking towards the house. And when we started like kind of walk inside the house, a lot of people started looking at us because we stuck out like a sore thumb. Like we weren't dressed in any way for this occasion whatsoever, or for this, I guess, hood party that was happening. But as we were walking around, I started to realize that a lot of girls actually, surprisingly, that were in there looked at me as if I was like really attractive. Like they couldn't stop staring at me. And I started to realize that I was able to pull girls really easily in that party, because I guess there were girls in there that wanted to get out of the hood. I don't know if that's actually like the saying for it, or if I'm using the saying right, but you guys know what I mean. So at this moment, I was getting surrounded by a bunch of girls, and a lot of the guys that were actually from the south side started getting like really upset with me, but they didn't end up doing anything until one of the guys ended up coming up to me saying, yo, what's going on, man? What's your name? Oh, hi, my name's Bubba. What's up, dog? How you doing, Bobo? Listen, man, I'm gonna be honest with you, bro. Out of all these chicks, which one you found attractive? Me and him, we started like pointing out some girls to each other and stuff like that, and he actually seemed like a genuine dude until I realized what he was actually trying to do. But keep listening, because you'll understand what happens. At this moment, I remember my friends ended up leaving me alone, and a lot of them wanted to go home, but me, since I was having a good time talking to this guy about, you know, girls and stuff, it kind of just made me forget about school. So I thought, hey, whatever is happening is working. I'm not as stressed out as I used to be. But then the guy from the south side ended up saying, yo, Bubba, I'm gonna be honest with you, dog. Like, what do you think of that girl over there? Now, I looked at this girl, and she was actually a pretty attractive girl. She was an attractive blonde girl that honestly was my type. If you guys don't know, I'm attracted to blonde girls and redheads. Those are like my go-tos growing up, and I guess still to this day is. And I remember I said, oh, like, yeah, like, she's hot. What about her? Well, let me tell you, dog, like, I'm telling you right now, bro, like, if you want that, go get it, bro. Like, she got a lot of good reputation. Trust, bro. Like, everyone's gonna like you if you go for that girl. At that moment, I ended up kind of looking around confused of why he wanted me to go for this specific chick, but I said whatever. You know what? Distraction's a distraction. At that moment, I was kind of desperate just to keep my mind off things. So I ended up basically walking up to this girl, and instantly at that moment, me and her, we just started talking, and things kind of ended up working out. Sure, she maybe had a weird accent, and sure, maybe she tried too hard to be a gangster, but one thing was for sure that I noticed was that everyone around me started actually being more genuine and nice to me now that I was talking to that specific woman. I didn't know why, but I remember it got to a point in the night where this girl wanted to go home, and she told me, oh, Bubba, like, I was just curious, like, do you want to like maybe like come back to my place? I mean, sure, yeah, why not? And I ended up giving the signal of me tapping my nose to my other friends that, you know, I'm gonna go do the devil's tango, and they kind of understood the message and figured out their own way home. I remember me and this girl, we ended up basically getting inside my car, and we ended up driving through the south side to basically head back to her place. And what I started to realize was that she kind of like lived in the middle between the south side and the north side. So like she was like kind of like in the middle ground and went to a private school, which was very surprising. I ended up asking her how she knew about the party, and she said, oh, like, I'm gonna be honest with you, like, I'm friends with like everyone, and like honestly, like, I actually kind of know about you. Wait, you know about me? Well, yeah, like, you know, you're kind of like a legend for like doing the devil's tango with like so many different girls, I heard, right? I mean, yeah, I guess is what I told her. And honestly, I actually kind of felt uncomfortable at this moment, but to be honest, I didn't really care. Once again, I just wanted to keep my mind off things. Anyways, me and this girl, we ended up basically going back into her place, and when we got into her bedroom, I remember instantly at that moment, she ended up jumping onto me like a jaguar, and I don't even know how, but right as we were getting in the middle of things and about to do the devil's tango, I remember she ended up biting my arm, and then from biting my arm, she just kept biting me over and over and over again as if she was like a shark, bro. Like this was something straight out of Jaws. And I remember I looked at this girl and I'm like, yo, what are you doing? Why do you keep biting me? Oh, like, it's kind of like my like signature move. Your signature move is to bite someone? At this moment, I started basically like telling her to like stop, and like I'm not comfortable with it whatsoever. And then she had the balls to tell me, oh, well, like, come on, Bubba, like, out of all the devil's tango you've done, you think that's an issue? Honestly, I don't even know what this girl was doing, bro, or what she was trying to say, but I wasn't letting it happen, all right? I wasn't gonna let her yap like that towards me. So I ended up saying, okay, listen, you need to calm down, okay? I'm just not into the biting thing, all right? And at that moment, this girl had the audacity to grab my eggplant. You know, I'm trying to say this without getting, you know, the video unmonetized, but she ended up biting me there. And well, let's just say I ended up screaming, and I actually ended up pushing her off. At that moment, I remember her dad ends up running into the bedroom saying, hey, what's going on here? And I ended up looking at her dad as I was in his daughter's bed, and I ended up saying, oh, look, I was just leaving. And I got out of there as fast as I could. Honestly, that was the most embarrassing thing I ever had to witness, especially since her dad walked in. Like, that was such a major red flag. I remember this girl walked up to me and she told me, hey, Bubba, I was wondering, do you want to like maybe go on a date? A date? Isn't that like a type of food? No, it's like when me and you like get to like hang out. Wait, so why not just hang out? Because I want to do it romantically. Wait, so you want to romantically hang out? Yo, what is going on, you guys? My name's Bubba, and welcome back to another insane story. Now, as you guys may know on this channel, if you guys are regular watchers, I've been on many different dates, and I've been with many different types of women. One, because I was a major player, but also on top of that, I just really had no standards. And one thing's for sure, this story that I'm about to tell you guys is where it basically all began. My first date ever. And the way the story starts off was me back in grade 6. Now, back when I was in grade 6, I was a very innocent kid. Like, the only things I would do is play Pokemon, Call of Duty, hop on my Xbox, and kind of just be to myself. I was a big fan of Batman, still am to this day, and honestly, the only things like I really understood about women was basically little to nothing other than what my mother has told me. But I remember there was one time back in my grade 6 year, and this was like literally like the first week of grade 6, where I entered into middle school, and I'm not gonna lie, I did not expect me to basically be attracted to women. No, I'm not saying that I was, part of the LGBTQ community, but in a way, like, I just never thought about, being with a girl or doing anything with them. The only things I cared about at the time was just me, myself, and I. So I remember when I entered into middle school for my first grade 6 year, I remember I was walking down the school hallway and I saw some of my friends from elementary school. Now, these friends I haven't seen all summer at the time. And I remember I ended up walking up to them saying, "Oh, hey guys, what you guys all up to?" "Oh, hey Bubba, we're just all hanging out, man. We're gonna go outside and like just chill, maybe like, scout some baddies. Do you want to come out and join us?" Scout some baddies? What are we playing, cops and robbers? At this moment, as you can clearly tell, I was really still innocent. But these guys apparently throughout the summer ended up hitting puberty way faster than I did, and well, decided to be more, I guess, in the naughty side of things. I remember when I said cops and robbers though, they all ended up starting to laugh at me, and they realized that I haven't grown up, to the point where one of them ended up walking up to me, putting his hand on my shoulder and saying, "Oh, Bubba, you still haven't grown up, have you, bro?" All right, boys, let's get out of here. And they all went to go look for some baddies, I guess. I don't know. At the time, I guess they ended up changing for the worse. And I realized that I maybe need to get new friends. So I remember walking around my middle school, and I ended up finding a group of people that were basically addicted to their 3DSs. If you guys don't know, the 3DS just came out at this time, and I remember I ended up sitting with them and playing Super Smash Brothers with them. This was the only type of smashing I would do back in middle school until I reached high school. But you guys already know about me doing the Devil's Tango. But I remember as I was sitting there playing on my 3DS, there was one girl, a part of that like group of people that were playing on their 3DS consoles, that were all just sitting down on this bench. And I remember she saw me pull up with my 3DS, and I had a Super Mario limited edition one. And she looked at me saying, "Oh my goodness, is that like a rare 3DS? How'd you get that?" "Oh yeah, my mom got it for me." "Oh cool. Do you want to play together?" "Yeah, of course." I remember me and her, we ended up sitting beside each other, and I remember all the people that would like play with us ended up basically coupling us as a group. They kept saying things like Bubba and this girl kissing in a tree, KISS. And you guys know the song. Like, they would basically kind of ship us, and it was really, really weird. Obviously, me and First decided to just ignore it and pretend it didn't exist. But this was middle school. And middle school, you end up getting a lot of things, I guess, peer pressured onto you. So I remember, I want to say like 2 weeks went by, and I started to realize that slowly, she would always come later than usual. Until one day, I saw she was like half an hour late for a game session, and I was like really annoyed. And when she finally came, I said to her, "Hey, what happened? Like, I thought you were gonna show up earlier." "Sorry, I'm like hanging out like with this new group of friends, and like, I don't know, they're being really weird." "Why? What are they saying?" "Well, they're saying like me and you should like, become a thing." "Become a thing?" "Yeah, like, become boyfriend and girlfriend." "What? Why would we do that? We're not trying to get married." Now, you gotta understand, the reason I said that was because back then, when I was younger, my parents would raise me to basically only date if you were going to marry the girl. Which, to be fair, I honestly love that idea, and I wish that still existed to this time and age. But let's be real here, boys. It's not real, okay? There's no such thing as dating to marry. There's dating to, do the Devil's Tango. But obviously, we're not going to talk about that because this is so long ago. But going on with the story, I remember I started to realize that over the days of basically me and her hanging out, a lot of the time she would always like, hang out with this group of girls and then hang out with me right after. Until one day, I decided to like walk past them in the hallway, and one of the girls ended up pointing me out while she was in the group with them, saying, "Hey, Bubba, why don't you like actually like, get your girlfriend over here?" "What? We're not getting married." "Aw, he's already thinking about marriage, guys." Now, the girl that said this was in grade 8, and she was a lot older than me and, the girl I was playing my 3DS with at the time. But I remember it got really weird to the point where I remember after school that day specifically, I remember I was walking home from school, and she ended up running up behind me, the girl that I would play, my 3DS with. And she ran up to me saying, "Hey, Bubba, I wanted to ask you something." Yeah, sure, what's up?" "Well, like, I was wondering, like, can me and you, like, maybe, like, go on a date?" "Wait, what do you mean you want to go on a date?"
date? Yeah, like, you know, like me and you like hang out, just us. Oh, well, I mean, we do that a lot already. Yeah, no, I know that, but like me and you go on a hangout romantically. Now at this moment, I started to realize that she was asking me for a date, but at the time where this video takes place, I thought the date was like the type of plant that's like a sweet plant that you usually eat with like tea or something. I didn't know what like an actual like romantic date was. And that's when I told her, oh, well, I don't know. It's my first time actually like going on a date. At this moment, her eyes ended up opening wide and she told me that it was hers as well. And that's when me and her, we ended up planning an actual date. And boy, was this the most weirdest thing ever, because what ended up happening next, I gotta say, made me not want to go on another one. Because I remember the next day after school, we ended up planning our date at that time. And me and her, we ended up meeting up in front of the school, and all the girls that she was friends with were watching me and her walk away from the school. And she looks at me saying, Baba, hold my hand. What? Why do you want me to hold your hand? We're just walking. Hold my hand. And at this moment, I ended up grabbing her hand and me and her were walking away. All of them said, ooh, like they're actually dating, and making it a way bigger deal than it actually was. But I remember as me and her went around the corner and no one saw us, I ended up letting go of her hand and I looked at her saying, okay, well, what's next on this date? I don't know. Do you want to go get food? I had lunch at lunchtime. No, like, let's go get like actual food. Okay. And what me and her actually ended up doing was we ended up going to this field that had like, I guess like a berry bush in the far corner, and me and her walked up to it together and we started eating the berries that were being grown there. I guess in a way it was kind of cute what we were doing, but in my mind, it was just us hanging out romantically until she decided to do something that kind of made me feel weird. Because after we finished eating berries at the bush, out of nowhere, we ended up basically sitting on this log together, and she looks over at me and says, Baba, to make this date complete, I need you to do something for me. Yeah, sure. What am I doing? Well, you need to kiss me. I need to what? Now, at this moment, I never kissed a girl, okay? I never have done it at this time, and I was a very innocent person. But I remember she decided to basically just like close her eyes and lean towards me. And yeah, I think that was when I actually like, you know, decided to just be like, whatever. I ended up kissing her, and I will say this, it was really awkward because out of nowhere, all the guys that I was friends with that went to go search for baddies way earlier in the story ended up jumping around the corner with the girls that the chick I was with was friends with as well, popped around the corner, and yeah, I'm not gonna lie, it was the most embarrassing thing ever. At this moment, I realized that going on dates at a super young age was not worth it, and it made me realize that it's just embarrassing. To be honest, I had more fun playing Lego Batman. But hey, honestly, tell me how old you guys were when you guys went on your first date, and on top of that, what would you guys do on your first date? Would you guys go to a berry bush like I did? If not, then just fall for more embarrassing stories just like this one. Peace out, guys.